Hi, everyone. I'm Joel Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television.
And I'm Kim Anderson. I'm on the board of MCAT, and I'm the Director of Programs and Grants for Humanities Montana.
We'd like to welcome you to this November 5th edition of Missoula Live. Yes, many of our devoted viewers know the show is live initially,
Yes.
and then it replays at different times of
And
the
it's
day.
slightly less live every day for 2
Yeah.
weeks. It just
It
gets
gets,
more
like,
and more tired.
Cooler and less likely to move.
That's right. That's right. And it is, look, can we just say fall is definitely here?
We feel it, right? With the
yeah.
change of the clocks
Right.
and then the change of the weather.
I was pretty happy about the fall back thing.
Yeah, we're digging
Like
in.
that.
Well, that brings me directly to,
What's
I
after
think this
fall?
is the second iteration of Winter Days.
That's a pretty dynamic little visual aid you have there.
Well, maybe Scott will show the website. He made it. Scott, will you show people at home the website, mcat.org? And
I
from
did
there,
not
anyway.
mean to make fun
Okay,
of
well,
your winter
the,
days.
the Winter Days is December 28th through the 30th, right here at MCAT, and it's designed, to fill those
it is.
parental activity blues in between Christmas and New Year's.
Yay.
That's the idea anyway.
Right,
So
right.
that kids could come here, and I think, Scott, is it 9 to 13? More or less, yeah,
Close
he's
enough.
agreeing. It's kids about 9 to 13, and it's $99 for the 4 days. Pre-care starts at 8:30, because people have to go to
Whoa.
work, right? What are they going to do with the kids?
True. Well,
And
we
then
have like
There's a
cocoa or
smattering
something
of
for them.
post-care. Post and pre-care mean like they're not going to be engaged in all the groovy activities we're offering, the animation, virtual,
supervised.
yes. They're going to watch television or play games on their own, but we're giving them the care.
Right.
And so if any parents are interested, visit the website at mcat.org, or barring that, give us a call, 542-6228.
Be like a great media camp experience
then-
in the middle of winter.
One way the parents could see if the kids would like it is to come to Saturday Animation Drop-In.
Right,
It's every
right.
Saturday right here at MCAT, which is 500 North Higgins. And for $10, you can have your kid try the stop animation, or there's other kids that are now making more action movies.
Yeah.
I don't know how kids do, it takes quite a bit of patience. They move little Legos around principally,
Right.
take a picture, move it, take a picture, move it. They do that. It's great.
It's
It
there,
stops
we can
showing
see it
some.
there,
He's showing
yeah.
a little commercial
You have
for
no
it.
idea how long it takes to just
See,
do that
in
little
that
bit.
case, they can draw on stuff like dry erase. But here's
Right.
like a little live action.
Okay, they're having fun.
Yeah, in the
clearly.
main.
Yeah,
They-
mostly
in the
fun.
main, they're having fun. There's the VR and what they
Oh,
see in the
yeah.
VR. And then Scott has a like a hoverboard thing.
Oh, right,
You
I've seen
you
that.
stand on it and it wheels you around. And he's very generous with it, despite the dangers.
Are we insured?
Yeah. $2 million per occurrence, parents. I just wanted to mention that this wonderful program is over,
Yeah.
and thanks to the Missoula Public Library, and particularly Elizabeth Jonkel, Associate Director there, for having another wonderful big read. And there's no reason for it to stop just because the activities have stopped. So in that vein, I would like to say that we have about 10 volumes of the big read, which is A Wizard of Earthsea by the famed sci-fi writer Ursula K. Le Guin, and a children's book by the same author called Cat Wings, which was the little read. And we have about a half dozen cat wings here, and as I mentioned, about 10 of these. If you stop in, to Saturday Animation or something, be sure to ask and get a copy of these great books.
They're wonderful reads.
Are you sure nothing's going on at Humanities Montana?
Well, there's a lot going on at Humanities
exactly.
Montana, but it's all kind of statewide, and there are opportunity grants available. I think that I've already said this on the show, but I will reiterate that we have put our regular grants and our film and digital media grants on suspension for a year
Okay.
while we turn inward and reassess everything we're doing. Our grants will be back, but in the meantime, between now and October 31st, 2019,
Wow.
we will have opportunity grants available. So if you have a humanities-based project that would benefit from up to $1,000 in grants, then please go to our website, which Scott is showing right now, humanitiesmontana.org. And you can take a look at our guidelines and our contact information, give us a call, and we'll chat with you about whether it's an appropriate project for funding or not.
Excellent. Like I saw that thing just when you was doing it, that you guys had funds for supporting book clubs in rural communities.
Yes, that's a
That's
new
really
thing.
sweet.
Yeah, Big Sky Reads.
Yeah.
So if you're in a book club, but not in the bigger.
Yeah, because everyone
Towns.
goes to a book club in the
Yeah.
big.
Well, it's just there are more options for support
Mm-hmm.
and finances. So if you're in a rural community and in a public book group, yes, we have $500 stipends, and all we ask is that you join, even if you're in Missoula in a book group,
Yeah.
join Big Sky Reads. Go to our website and look at it. And we're just chatting, but it's people in book groups, or even people who are too lazy to be in a book group, but who
Yeah.
are kind of interested in the concept. That's like me.
Right.
And then you just chat about what books you're reading and things like that. It's kind of fun.
That sounds really worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm going to send you an invite.
All right. Well, it is time to introduce our first guests.
Yes.
They are Amy and Katie. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
They're representing Missoula Downtown Association. Amy, are you the president of it now?
No, I'm the pastor.
You are emeritus. Okay.
Yes.
I got that.
Expired.
I'm excited.
Yeah. But could you tell the viewers a little bit about, we affectionately know it as MDA.
Right.
Sounds like a
Yeah.
kind of a drug, but
Right. And we take, it's been around for so long,
Yeah.
you don't even really think about what the MDA does. You're just so used to the fact that they're here doing great things. So
Yeah.
yes, I will take a moment. So my day job is I own Betty's Divine and Divine Trash Vintage. So I am on the Missoula Downtown Association board as a representative of the retail community in
Great.
downtown Missoula, and I've been on for I think 9 years now.
congratulations.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
going to move
really-
this. Don't stop. I'm just going to move the microphone. I'm sorry. I forgot
Yeah.
to bring it close to you guys. This is a new thing. It is really fascinating because sometimes people look at the small business and their hats are just off to them. Like they say, I wonder how people make a living with a shop like that, or things like that. Like in the limited exposure I've had to Europe, I say,
Yeah.
I can't believe here in Paris there's a shop that just sells brassieres. That's it. I'm like, this is one of the most expensive cities in the world. How this tiny shop that's just
Well,
selling
it's-
bras
Yes.
and they're like, well, you don't understand that their parents probably own the building and they've been there for 400
Not
years.
always.
I wouldn't say that.
Not
I wouldn't
always.
say that. I mean, in Missoula, in Montana.
Well, I'm
you
not
know,
saying this is the case
Montana's home
here.
to some of the highest percentage of entrepreneurs in the country.
Wow,
And
yeah.
no one actually knows why. There's researchers flocking here to
Oh,
try to figure it
interesting.
out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I divert.
Okay,
But,
well, I made you
it's
do so.
probably because we have organizations like the Missoula Downtown Association that supports all of us. I mean, there's large corporations who are members, and there's small micro businesses who have one employee, and that's the owner, and that's the person that does everything.
Yeah.
And the MDA, helps you network with other people who are doing similar things, connects you with marketing opportunities, and actually, as members, we get to benefit from the marketing that MDA does. The other thing that they do is they make. We kind of take this for granted because Missoula is just happening right now, but
So
the
much.
MDA's been around for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And back when downtown was kind of a ghost town.
Oh,
Right.
I remember.
And they're the ones that have brought, Brew Fest, which now, we all know what that is of
Yeah.
attended, but that was new, for a
Roots
while.
Festival.
First
The
Friday,
Roots-
Roots Fest,
Right.
Downtown Tonight, Out to Lunch, all these really wonderful programs that make it so Missoula is the vibrant, beautiful, wonderful, alive place. And the best thing about a lot of the activities that the MDA puts on for our community is they're free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that what Katie and I are here to talk about, Festival of Trees
Right.
and the Parade of Lights, they're free if not low cost. And that's really important as our city grows to make sure that everyone can access these great
Yeah.
activities going downtown.
Absolutely.
And a delight for children.
Yeah.
Parade of Lights
I
in
mean,
particular.
I
but-
don't want to name names, but
Okay.
but the reality is not every city or town in Montana has a downtown as vibrant as Missoula.
That's really true.
And it doesn't just happen by accident or, an act of God. It
Exactly.
happens because of the Downtown Association and how hard they have worked and how active they've been.
Yes,
So,
you are completely
thanks.
right. And actually the MDA, the Downtown Association in our city is a leader in all downtown associations across the country.
Oh, really?
Yes, one of the
Wow.
oldest, one of the most active. And so that's pretty exciting. And you're right, where it's easy to just take those things for granted, you
Yeah.
know? But there's a group of employees and volunteers like Katie and I just working behind the scenes. There's so many people working to put on these fun events that are primarily free in
Yeah.
downtown
Yeah.
Missoula. And with the holidays coming up, we're transitioning from all the outdoor things, Roots
Right.
Fest, all the stuff going on in Karis Park, you know, all the outdoor things. And we're, you know, doing Christmas.
Which is always so much fun to be downtown at Christmas
Oh, it
time.
really
Holidays.
is. And just every year, people just do more and more as far as window displays. So, you know, just walking downtown on a cold night, you know, maybe having dinner, maybe not, maybe walking your dog. And instead of going on the Kim Williams Trail, you just walk downtown
Yeah.
and enjoy the hard work and the cool displays. I will talk about Festival of Trees real quick, and then I'll let you talk. I'm sorry. I'm kind of like Katie knows that.
I'm just rolling with it.
Time for everyone.
But Festival of Trees, it's a long-standing festival that actually happens all over the world. And I'm involved in it because I grew up going to one in Portland, Oregon with my
Wow.
mom and my grandma, and we would go to these giant convention centers and just walk for miles looking at these trees that individuals, artists, book clubs, businesses, you know, different groups had designed and put together. And it just was always something fun that we would do on a Saturday or on the holidays. And it's been going on in Missoula through Mountain Home, Montana for many years, and they gifted the Downtown Association the event last year. So we
Oh, wow.
did it last year with Mountain Home, and this year we're actually doing it with Make-A-Wish Montana, which is
Great.
pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And
So
what
they'll
it
be the
is-
beneficiary?
They will, and the Downtown Foundation.
Yeah.
So we're keeping those programs and projects alive. Flower baskets, all the events that we love.
banners
the
that come up.
banners, the clean team, cleaning up the
Yeah,
sidewalk,
Right.
the
the
bid, all
recycling.
that, business improvement
Exactly, the
district.
graffiti removal, all those things. So this year, we're making it, I think it's 9 days. It's November 30th through December 9th
Oh,
this
wow.
year. And of course, you can go like I did with my mother and my grandmother and tour the trees and walk through. You can do that Saturdays, you can do that weekdays. For most of the day, 12 to 7, I would definitely check. You can go to the Missoula Downtown website, check, you know, even just Google Festival of Trees Missoula and you'll go right there.
Yeah, Scott's showing folks at home the website with the downtown partnership web, you know, in the background.
Great. So what you can do when you tour is you can see, you know, all these wonderful trees, wreaths. People have done plate settings and mantles and all sorts of creative things. Actually, my book club last year did a tree that we built out of Pulp Fiction novels that I acquired at a
gosh.
garage
Great
sale. I couldn't
idea.
pass up
Yeah.
someone's collection and was like, what am I going to do with these? And we made a tree out of them.
Oh, that's
and
very
it
cool.
was auctioned off. So you can walk through the trees. There's little scavenger hunts you can do. You can also attend a teddy bear tea. Those are happening on Sundays.
sweet.
They're great
Right.
to do with your kids, young kids, old kids. Do the one with your grandmother. And you can also do, we have a soiree and an auction where everything's going to be auctioned off, and that is culminating on the 8th. The last Saturday of the event. And then we also have a mimosa brunch that
I'm
we're
looking at
debuting
that.
this season because the teas are so popular that we decided we would, you know, add a little twist to the tea party.
Right.
And all of these are going on the 6th floor of the First Interstate Bank building downtown.
Oh, great.
Which is one of the most exciting parts about it, to be honest, is it's a space that normally we don't, you know,
You
it's
don't
not a
get to
public
see.
One
space.
gets to see.
Yeah.
And it
yeah.
is beautiful. The view,
I
I mean, it's
bet.
almost 360. The view's beautiful. People work really hard decorating the space, not to mention all the trees and the wreaths that are in there. And it's
And
just
this is a
really fun
new
space.
venue, isn't it?
This is, you know, this is the second year that we're doing
Oh,
it there.
okay,
So
okay.
First Interstate Bank is one of our sponsors, and we're so thankful that they
That's
give
generous.
us that space. They give us volunteer time. They're wonderful. And then Providence Health Services is also one of our big sponsors, among many others that
Excellent.
help put on this event.
Yeah.
Who you can see if you go to the website.
And just a few here, you see Providence St. Patrick Hospital, Make-A-Wish, First Interstate Bank, Karis Nursery, Stevens and Company, Attic, RRG, and is it a Pepsi? I've never seen that. and then those smaller ones and so on. That's really wonderful,
Who doesn't
though.
like the holidays?
Right.
Now, are the
Pepsi is
teddy
really
bear
good.
teas and the mimosa brunch, are they a ticketed item?
They are. They're a
Yes.
ticketed item. You can go online to reserve your spot. They sell out very
Is it
quickly. No, I believe it's $10.
Oh, that's not
Actually,
bad.
that's probably it's probably not
It's
right.
an optimistic estimation.
Right.
I'm
but-
going to
Somehow
tell you
the
it's $10, and you're going to be so
Well,
excited when it's
okay.
less.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
And actually, touring the trees is a $2 donation.
Okay.
And again, that money goes to Make-A-Wish Montana, as well as the Missoula Downtown Association.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not very expensive.
No.
It's not free like most of the Parade of Lights activities, but it's very accessible. And it's a fun way. It's really, I volunteered last year. I'll be there again this year. And you just see people of all ages, young and old there. And it just warms my heart to see
Oh, yeah.
Missoula coming out for the holidays.
Absolutely.
That is really nice. And the venue is so close to the new hotel. So for some people, it could be that sour feeling that they'll look down, you know what I mean? Or it could be that upbeat feeling like life is moving on.
It does move
Right.
on. It does move
Right.
on.
It does move on. I'm just saying that. I know it sounds a little weird because a number of people, said, "Oh, I spent so many Christmases
Yeah.
at the old Merc when it was whatever carnation it was."
Oh, yeah.
But here's an opportunity to have that magic of Christmas.
People have
Life
certain
renews
new
itself.
traditions.
It
That is a
does.
strong lesson.
Now,
We better turn to
somewhere
Parade
in
of
the
Lights.
middle there is a parade of lights,
Yes,
I
we
believe.
better turn because look, I put a clock on the monitor.
Sorry, Kenny.
Oh, I think
No, it helps keep,
wonderful.
it's to keep us on track,
It's keep
definitely.
us on track.
Yes.
So yes, let's tell people a little of the Parade of Lights. I
So-
know MCAT's recorded it for many
Yep,
years.
you have, and you're doing it again this year.
Yay.
Yeah,
Thank
oh,
you.
Scott's putting
Thank
on,
you.
to
This
give
must
folks
have
at home a
been
little
last
bit of
year.
an
Look
idea.
at that.
This one I think is from the year 2015, 3 years.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
it's really exciting because we're celebrating our 16th year of
Oh
the
my
Parade of
gosh.
Lights, and that's Saturday, December 1st. Most of the activities start at noon, and they're all over downtown Higgins. So you can do like the beaded snowflake, or are we doing pictures with Jethro again?
Yep. Betty's. Since we acquired the king of all cats, Jethro, we do pictures with Jethro. You get your Polaroid picture with some elves and Jethro and yourself.
I know
Wonderful.
Jethro.
And it does cost,
big
but
is
all the
Jethro?
money goes
Like-
to the Humane Society.
Jethro
Oh.
is huge.
He is, though he's 22 pounds down from 32.
Well,
Oh my
very good,
gosh.
congratulations.
Wow.
He's
Shadow
love
of his
Jethro.
former self.
Can you imagine losing a third of your body weight? I can't.
I wish. I'm going to talk to him about that.
But some of the other activities going on are things like Santa at the
Yes.
Florence, and that's from 1 to 5. And it's really important that if everyone wants to get their photo, that they're there no later than 4:30. They have to be standing in
Right.
line at 4:30
Wow.
is the cutoff time.
Mhm.
Other cool things going on, of course, Coach Shane is going to be leading the parade, which everybody loves.
Yeah.
And we've got the parade starting at 6 o'clock and then goes down to the X's for the Christmas tree lighting. That's about 6:15. There'll be music and cocoa, and it's just a really good time. It's a lot of fun. It's awesome to watch. The kids love it, and the parents seem to love it too.
Yeah.
And it's actually a gift from the Missoula Downtown Association to the city. We have several title sponsors, but it's something that has been near and dear to the hearts of the Missoula Downtown Association. And so it's a way to say thank you and to all of the people that come downtown and shop in the businesses
Yeah,
and
they're-
support us.
They're showing the trolley,
Yeah.
all lit up. And here's a choir from that year singing before the lighting of the tree, which is just on the north end of Higgins, not too far from our studio. And this sheet says there will be downtown carriage rides.
I was
Kind of
just
Yeah.
going to ask.
Yes,
That's
the
my
carriage
favorite.
rides, and I think they start at, I'm going to look at my cheat sheet, at 1:15 to
Yeah.
4:45.
What
So,
fun.
and that's a lot of fun, and I think that was brought by Lithia, their
Oh, the
sponsor.
motor
Wow.
company.
Yep, and then Blackfoot and Liquid Planet help sponsor the majority of the parade as well. So it's a really inclusive. There's all types
Yeah.
of businesses, small and large, helping to put this on as well.
They
So-
really are. And then the sheet also mentions family-friendly activities downtown Missoula. So a number of the storefront businesses in the downtown area are going to be offering free treats or stuff that people can
Ornament
bring their
making.
kids in
Yep.
and get that magic feeling.
Yep.
Because kids are pretty attuned to when things are normal and when there's something, pleasant going on. Like, look, free candy canes, or there's a guy looks like Santa Claus coming out of this, and so on.
So all of the different Parade of Light events and that happen on Saturday, December 1st, you can get kind of a breakdown on the website of
You
those
can,
as well?
Yep,
Yeah.
on the Missoula Downtown Partnership website under the Parade of Lights event. And then we'll also have handbills that'll be in different businesses downtown.
Oh, sure.
About
I've
a
seen
week
those.
prior to
Yeah.
the event. So if people want a paper copy, they can just come in and grab one and plan out their day. We try to start them out early on the hip strip and move people closer to the tree. And there's tons of ornaments to be made this year, so
Oh,
if they hit
wow.
up all the different places that are doing it, like La Stella Blue, Bathing Beauties, Upcycled, what I know on the hip strip. I know Frame of Mind is doing one at the First Interstate building. I know the Public House is doing things. I believe the ZAC is going to be doing a huge.
Wow.
The Zach, are they doing their cookie plate
Yeah, their
painting?
cookie plate.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that
really
was
fun.
great, and it
I
does
remember that.
cost, but $10.
worth it.
$10 is just
It
my
just
number.
covers the
Yeah.
supplies.
Everything goes $10.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, to
Worth it,
paint a
yeah.
plate and they glaze it, and then you have your cookie plate for Santa.
And you
Yeah.
kind of have a ready Christmas gift,
Exactly. Yes, it's a good time to kind of do some pre-shopping and scoping.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
you know, it's Missoula's downtown is just there's lots of growth and exciting things happen, and it's just nice to go down and check it out. Sometimes it's hard to get down there, or find time in
Yeah.
a busy life, but this is the time to do it. As well as Small Business Saturday, which I'll just
November
quickly talk
24th,
about
right?
the Saturday before. It's excellent.
Right after the
Yes.
Black Friday.
Right after,
Kind of
yeah.
reminder, like, go handle the things you want to buy, see what it looks like, all that
And
stuff.
Right.
support small business owners like
Yeah.
us do,
Absolutely.
And it's, they're at the MSO hub, there's free cocoa, there's gift wrap, that's kind of like the headquarters, and it's just a fun, cheery day. A lot of businesses are having activities and promotions, but.
And it's
you know.
another opportunity where, I always, because I'm a massive shopper, just, this is my nature. But that is the day that you see all of your neighbors and friends downtown, and it's so, you just
Yeah.
feel good, and you're waving at people, and everyone's wearing their pretty coats. And
Well, and it's
That's
just
nice.
good to remember all the time, especially when
Yeah.
you're buying Christmas gifts, how important it is to support local
Absolutely.
and support your neighbors,
Yeah.
and you have to buy unique, fun items.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you. I know we better go because
thank
we'll
you.
neglect our
Now
guests.
I'm in the
But-
Christmas spirit.
Good.
Yeah,
Feeling
I
it
am.
already.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wow.
But I
thank
want to
you.
thank you both, Amy. and
Thank
Kate.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for
Thanks for
taking the
having us.
time.
Thanks for volunteering
Yeah.
for MPA.
And we'll be right back. We still have 3 other guests, some very
Right.
interesting things to talk about. Up next, we'll talk with Tate Jones. There's going to be some excitement at the Rocky Mountain Museum of Military History because the anniversary of a very great war is coming up. So we'll talk about that right after this.
Welcome to another edition of the Montana Department of Transportation's How to Drive a Roundabout. We all know what to do at a traffic signal. Red means stop. Green means go. But when we come to a roundabout, we're often unfamiliar with what to do next. Oh no! Whoa, cowboy, wrong way. Here are the tips on how to properly drive on a roundabout. First, slow down when approaching a roundabout. Second, yield to traffic in the roundabout. Vehicles in the roundabout have the right of way. Now you're getting it. Third, do not stop within the circular portion of the roundabout. That's no place to stop. Fourth, signal your turn and exit the roundabout at the appropriate point. Following these instructions, you'll have no problem navigating the new roundabouts popping up all around Montana.
Kid can work with Legos, play, and more to make their characters come to life. Animation isn't the only reason to stop in. Hi! Your kids can experience media through editing, voiceover, and short films. Games and activities to keep your kids busy all Saturday afternoon, starting September.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
You can't sit here.
Don't add her to the chain.
It was just a joke.
We're not friends.
Why are you talking to me?
He started it.
She's so gross.
Lame. Loser.
Weirdo.
I've said and done things before that I'm not proud of.
Just as I've been hurt by others.
The thing is, this is not who I am. And it's definitely not who I want to be.
I don't want to be cruel. I don't want to spread gossip.
I don't want to be a body shamer.
I don't want to exclude anyone.
I don't want to make anyone feel lonely,
Left out.
Hurt.
We have
It's so dramatic, that PSA that was just on.
I know,
I don't know
I
what
know.
the content is. So Tate Jones is here. He's the executive director of the Rocky Mountain Museum Military History. It is located at Fort Missoula. Tate, welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Most welcome, and thank you for putting together this really great
Yeah.
program coming up Sunday, November the 11th, Veterans Day 2018. So do you want to tell people a little bit first about the museum and then about the event?
This is the Montana's 100th anniversary commemoration
Right.
of Armistice Day and Allied victory in World War I.
Yeah.
And is being sponsored by the three main historical agencies at Fort Missoula, the Rocky Mountain Museum of Military History, the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula, and the Northern Rockies Heritage Center. And beginning at 11 a.m. on Veterans Day, November 11th, we have a full day of activities planned at the fort commemorating the U.S. effort in World War I and the end of the conflict.
Excellent. There are just some, I don't know if we can go through them all, but there's just some. National World War I Centennial Committee Bells of Peace, and that's a nationwide bell ringing, and that's going to be at your facility?
Yes, at
Okay.
11 a.m., all participating organizations in the country, to mark the actual time that the armistice went
Right.
into effect, 11
Right.
a.m., November 11th, will be ringing bells. And at the Military Museum, we have the bell of the last Milwaukee Road engine to come through Fort Missoula mounted, and we will ring that at 11 a.m.
That's great.
It's amazing to think of all of these bells going off
Yeah,
at the exact
globally.
same moment. And then at noon, you were going to start with some an opening ceremony and some speeches.
Yes, we have two keynote speakers, and this will be at Heritage Hall at Fort Missoula. And for those unfamiliar, that's the big yellow building on the parade ground.
Beautiful building.
We'll
Really
have
is.
two keynote speakers. The first will be Montana Secretary of State Corey Stapleton, representing the civil branch of Montana government, and representing the military branch will be Major General Matt Quinn, Adjutant General of the Montana National Guard, and both gentlemen will be speaking to commemorate the occasion.
That's really great.
Very nice.
And then at 2 o'clock, book discussion by Ken Robeson, author World War I Montana, the Treasure State Prepares. And I'm going to hold this up, Scott. I don't know if you can zoom in. It's got a really dramatic cover. And it is really wild to think about. I think about Montana in, I don't know, such a
Here we go.
sentimental way. I'm not about both world wars. Here's Montana, you know, so tucked away, as it were, from the world. But when you have a world war, everything's involved, I guess. You
It
know?
affects everyone.
Yeah. Isn't there, for instance, at university, a memorial for the Missoulians who died in the First World War in the form of trees.
University of Montana
Yeah.
students, including Paul Dornblaser, who the football stadium, now the track stadium, is
Yeah.
named afterwards. They all have trees and plaques leading down from Main Hall down towards the Adams Center.
Isn't that something?
And 10% of Montana's population fought in World War I.
That's
the
amazing.
state had an unusual amount of young men due to the mining and ranching and farming industries, and so many volunteered in 1917 when the U.S. entered the war against the Central Powers.
Isn't that wild? Because, you know, you imagine someone living in Conrad, in Havre, in these tiny towns, and then the newspaper is bringing them news of the World War, and that their children have gone and some haven't come back from this thing. So far away, so far away. I mean, now you think you get on a jet or whatever it is, and there you are.
And there's, you know, communications are so different.
Right.
I mean, only way
You
to communicate was through
FaceTime
the mail.
somebody in France. I mean, here they'd have letters that maybe arrived a month afterwards or that kind of thing.
Well, it was a generation that read newspapers assiduously.
Yeah, there's that, though.
That's true.
Which is a habit maybe we should rediscover.
Exactly.
Nice editorial point.
Now, and there's another event going on at 4 o'clock, another talk, is that correct?
Yes, that will be at the Military Museum, building T316, or as we like to say, just look for the one with the tank and the helicopter.
Right, yeah, it's pretty easy to see. Yeah.
And that will be a talk on Clarence Street, who was a doughboy who enlisted out of the University of Montana and went to the 11th Railway Engineers Regiment in France. And afterwards, he wrote a number of very important books on international relations and during the 20s and 30s, in which he essentially prophesied the coming of NATO, the European Union, and places like that. So he was very influential in international affairs circles up through the 60s until his death, I believe, in the early 80s.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Wow. So that's a really rich array of programming you have lined up for what's a really important anniversary.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
and I think people would be surprised to learn that 10% of Montana's young male population serves.
I am.
But I think typically Montana's population serves more than richer, more developed states, but I'm not sure. You probably know better than I.
Certainly, and then again, above average participation in World War II as well.
Yeah.
And now we have just a very large veterans community throughout Montana.
Yeah.
So,
Can you give us a little information about the museum itself for people who haven't been in yet?
the Military Museum,
Yeah.
I'm executive director of that, is located in building T316 again at Fort Missoula. And we have 7 display galleries, all covering various conflicts in American history from the Revolution forward to the present day. We try to serve 2 audiences, people coming in who just would like an introduction and orientation to American military history, and Western Montanans who'd like to see the role played by people who are their friends, neighbors, or who they knew in their circle. And we tried to bring these 2 spheres together and show just how Montanans in our part of the country did play a very influential part in these conflicts which shaped the world we lived in.
And that makes me think, and I'm pretty sure it's happening, and that is maybe under additional activities. Yes, free certificates of appreciation to World War I veterans presented par Monsieur Slay to all applying descendants and friends. And there, I know a number of people who have relatives that had served, like one family in particular, the dad was mustard gassed in the 11th hour on the 11th day in the 11th month. And that led to his early death. You know, in his mid-60s, he had suffered respiratory issues his entire life. And the event happened after the armistice was signed because not everybody knew it was signed.
Right.
So they always thought of that.
Right, again, communication.
Yeah.
And this is a service we provide year-round for any veteran of any conflict. All you have to do is just go to our contact information on the screen, give us the relevant information, rank, name of the veteran, branch of service, and we will produce a free certificate for you.
Wow, that's really
very
valuable
thoughtful, Tate. I
for
think that is
families.
really nice.
Yeah. Now, what was that image you just had up on the
Well,
screen?
this one, and Tate, you probably know better than I, This says Eric Kennington, or is it Kensington at Luventi?
Kensington,
Yeah.
I believe. Left my glasses outside.
My
But-
cheaters aren't there either. It says oil on glass, 55 by 60 inches, which
Very
is impressive.
dramatic image.
This is a compilation of British war art, and this is by a veteran artist who is doing a portrait of his friends as he remembered them on the Western Front after he came home.
Wow.
Wow, yeah. Crazy, crazy conflict. About 9 million combatants died, and 7 million civilians died as well, like collateral damage.
Yes.
And you have 16 million people killed in the space of about 4.5 years just to meet with the great flu epidemic of 1918 that takes
Yes,
out
indeed.
30 to 50 million more.
Which was here at Fort Missoula in great force. We had several soldiers die who were stationed at the mechanic school of Fort Missoula, and the flu epidemic made its way into the city here as well. So
I
that
didn't
was
know that.
100 years ago. That was
Wow.
as the war drew to a close, that was the main topic of concern in Missoula. And fun fact, to try to cut down the spread of the epidemic, they actually closed the bars in Missoula and took the stools out of the bars so people couldn't congregate.
Right.
Well, that would be one way to slow things
One
down.
way, but
yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing to think of what the civilization, so-called, has gone through
Right.
in recent years.
So all the events that are happening on Sunday, November 11th are free and open to the public.
The public is welcome.
All out at the fort.
Mm-hmm.
Go on out and help remember this extremely important day.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Tate, thank you so much.
Thank you
being
for
with
having
us.
me.
You bet.
You know it. We'll be right back. We still have two guests. We're going to talk next with people that are running the Tamarack Grief Resource Center right after this.
Yes.
My family and I would not have had the luxury of going to camps or the groups or any of that process with Tamarack if not for the people who are willing to support Tamarack and give. Yeah.
What would you say to those people?
To the people that gave to our family, I would say you have no idea the impact that you had in our lives. Your gift created something much bigger.
So your journey will always be going on.
Always, yeah.
Always.
It's a continual process, and Tamarack helped me find a place where, in still honoring and still remembering and still loving, I could move forward in my life and begin to reconstruct, and I got to do that with people who supported me on my journey all the way through.
All right,
And
we
here we
are
are.
back. We are back with Tina and Liz. They are here from the Tamarack Grief Resource Center. Welcome. Thanks for waiting to be
Thank
on the
you.
show,
Glad
too.
to be here. Thank you.
No, Ed. So is the symbol that we saw in the video and on the name tags and on your coat that I lost after, is that a tamarack in its youth, or?
It's meant to be a little tamarack seedling.
It's a seed.
It's a
Yeah,
seed
the
pod
seed
of the
pod.
tamarack.
And the name of Tamarack, we are an outdoor-based grief support center. We try to do many of our programs outdoors as possible.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so we specialize in grief camps, but even our counseling may walk down to the river with a child that's writing leaves and with stories and messages for loved ones that they're floating down the Clark Fork River or tossing rocks in the river. But tamarack trees, like the seasons, change with the seasons. And so they evolve and transition, and so it just holds this process of death and life and grief, and it's all muddy and complex and beautiful and intertwined and tangled, and so it was a good symbol for us.
Yeah, right. Isn't it the one that turns yellow?
It's the one that turns yellow.
It's the one that
Yes.
turns yellow. You see it like on when the seasons turn on the mountainside.
Right.
I recall it now. I was trying to be an expert. My niece was out visiting me, and she's like, "Why are some of those trees yellow?" And I said, "That's the tamarack." And I thought, where the heck did that come from? Why did I remember?
Hold it out.
But
Very
I
good.
did. No, it's a very good symbol.
Yeah.
So what started it? How long has the Tamarack Grief Resource Center been around?
Well, our programs started in the 90s. So we launched our first camp in 1997, a Camp to Remember. And Tamarack Grief Resource Center assumed responsibility for the regional grief programs in 2008. And we have offices, we're based here out of Missoula, and have offices in Kalispell and Browning.
Okay.
So about 10 years.
Yeah. And was there a need, felt like, we need counselors, we need people with spirit that can directly approach this one emotion. Like often people say, oh, I'm going to see a therapist or talking cure or whatever it is, and they'll cover a wide range of topics. But this is specialized, or is it?
It's specialized. And Joel, I love that you bring that up. Like, if grief is a natural response to loss, why does a grief center matter? And I think people really find that they, perhaps in an ideal world, if you just had all this space and were surrounded by support, we would integrate loss into our lives more easily. But with all the time demands and so many people feeling uncomfortable talking about death and grief and life and loss, and that death ends a life but not a relationship, and relationships are tricky when we're in the living world. What do we do when somebody dies, and how do we continue to get strength from that relationship and honor this person and carry them with us? So finding a place that we're not pathologizing grief. This is still a very natural process. We just all do it very differently. It can be incredibly tricky and complex.
Sure.
But how can we do this and continue to gain strength from relationships and integrate these losses into our lives in ways that we're still the people we want to be?
And I think it used to, I mean, at least my sense is, you will know better, that many cultures used to have particular rituals or ways of, as a culture, handling grief that helped you go through certain stages, and that's kind of dissipated to some extent, and so it's incredibly valuable to have a service like yours available to offer a variety of different ways of exploring what you're going through.
And even to explore how can we do these rituals in ways that are meaningful for us today.
Right.
Is this a ritual to honor the significance that an event occurred? And that might be something more like a shrine or a stupa that we create and it's solid and grounded. Or it might be releasing parts of the grief that aren't bringing us strength any longer, and it might be exploring grief and profound sadness that we want more movement and involvement of the elements of fire and water and air to help release some emotions around. And so being deliberate about those rituals that we set up.
Interesting. That's the outdoor part
A lot of
as well.
outdoors.
Yeah.
Do you do counseling in the house, the office? I
No,
say
you
that
have to
because
go
you are.
outside.
We're pretty happy.
Because I
Let's
have
go
a
outside.
beautiful house around the corner from where I live on First Street. So there are counseling rooms there.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to go outside. Now, if somebody is watching this and they say, golly, I know someone, I am that person, or I know that someone could really use grief counseling, are they your target audience, or are you using groups a lot more? Are you taking like individuals on, or that kind of thing?
Yes. So if somebody called the center, we would try to gather some information to say what's helpful for us to know about you and what would be helpful at this point. And it may be that individual counseling would be strengthening, or it may be that a peer support group for adults, or it might just be a consultation to say, I'm the primary support for my kiddos, I'm grieving, they're grieving, can we toss around some ideas of how to do this better? Or a women's camp or an overnight youth camp, or maybe overnight is kind of scary if you've had a significant death, so maybe a day camp or a mini camp. There's a lot of different options, or a drop-in workshop. Just swing by once a month and create inspiration mobiles, whatever it might be that month.
Yeah.
So,
Find out what the needs might be for that person and direct them accordingly, right?
Yeah, because in a family situation, there's all these dynamics. So let's say a parent dies of an accident or illness in an early stage of the family's life. So the children are still at home, and they're suddenly one parent is responsible for everybody's well-being. They're grieving too at the loss of the spouse, the kids. So that whole dynamic is very complicated.
Yeah, I'm sure it's true. Yeah.
And that's where you guys say, oh, we can help.
We can help. And we're stronger together. So we can't fix it. It's not broken. It just is a isness that might be a very tragic isness. And how can we bring a support system around that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. So should someone just call? I mean, if viewers are watching the program and they're like, grief, I really have a problem with that, you'd say, just call. We'd see whether or not there's something for you.
I would
that
say
we
if
offer.
somebody had that, to call us, 541-8472, and learn more, ask questions, can do that over the phone, visit our website.
There, we're showing the website. So, because often, before I call, I like to go to a website and just kind of orient myself.
Yeah, some people do
So
it,
that's
especially
good.
about, strong emotion.
Yeah.
Or getting help dealing with strong emotion. I think people are very guarded at first. They're like, oh, no, and that kind of thing.
But, I mean, this
That
is,
might help.
Scott's showing just
Yeah.
a real rich array of programs and
And do you do
possibilities.
just like age-specific programs, like children experiencing loss or grief, so you could have kids form a group or be part of a group or
So
that
many
kind
of our
thing?
mini camps would be for elementary school children. Our overnight camps might be for families. The whole family's coming to camp, and some breakout sessions will be for parents, and some are for teens, and some are for young adults, and some are for younger kids. The community workshops are all ages. Our Walking Our Way Through Grief, which we do in Browning and Kalispell and Missoula, is just come together. Sometimes words fall short. Let's walk about it instead of talk about it. And
I like
everybody
that.
comes together. It's really nice. And so it depends on the program. There's adult grief matters groups. Let's just talk about matters that matter to us as adults that are integrating loss into our lives. And then there's the kids groups as well.
Yeah.
So valuable.
It sounds really, and I'm really glad you guys, responded to come on the show, because I've been, going up and down. They're right around the corner from. Did I mention they're around my
Visit us.
And so I'd always been intrigued and wanted to know more about it. And I thought that is an area that when people have trouble with grief, it hits them really hard. And so this sounds like very vital work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Changes lives.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes.
I know we got to go because those guys will
We
be
have
mad.
final group. We have.
They'll be mad, and we got 13 minutes left. So
We got to do
yeah.
it. Okay.
But you
Come see
feel
us
free to
again.
know where we
Come
are.
see us again.
If a program comes up in a big event or anything,
Perfect.
just come back on the show. We do it every other week.
Wonderful.
during the
We have
school
big
year.
events every week, so we'll come back every week. We'll see you next
Oh,
week.
So every other week, they come back on the 19th.
You're off next Monday, but the
Yeah.
Monday after.
Thank you all.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
So we'll be right back with two representatives of Missoula County. They're going to talk about a very interesting grant they've received to reduce the amount of people that end up in jail. How
Exciting
nice
news.
is that? A grant from the MacArthur Foundation is going to help put a new face on the way justice is processed in Missoula County, and you're going to learn about it right after this.
There. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Can I tell you another one? So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it. What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana. What is a boxer's favorite drink? Fruit punch.
Welcome to another edition of the Montana Department of Transportation's How to Drive a Roundabout. If a motorist is within a round...
We are back.
Not the roundabout again.
Oh, God, he's going to get on there. So, we are back. Thank you for joining us. We are here to talk to Cola Rowley and Aaron
Couts.
And Erin, you're in the grants department.
Yeah, grants division, part of community and planning services.
And I bet you're
department.
partly responsible for this fantastic
I did
grant.
help write it, yes.
She's mostly responsible.
See,
Wow.
congratulations and thank you. Colarale is one of our 3 Missoula County commissioners. Thanks for taking the time to be on the show.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for having
we have the press release, but maybe you guys want to just tell us
This
the
is
story.
huge.
What happened to receive this enormous $700,000 grant?
Well, so we applied for a MacArthur Foundation grant in about a year and a half ago that we actually got for $50,000. And that was to address the disproportionate number of Native Americans incarcerated at the.
Interesting. Erin, just hold that thought. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to move the microphone.
Oh.
I don't know what's wrong with me.
Do you want me to
Okay.
keep talking?
Yeah,
Okay.
please. No, it's just silly.
Should I start over?
Oh, no,
or-
I think
okay.
No, I think they
Okay,
heard.
perfect.
It's just like, this is better.
Okay, so that was to address the disproportionate number of Native Americans incarcerated at the Missoula County Detention Facility. And that was a 15-month grant. It wrapped up in March of 2018, just last March. And based on our success with that, the MacArthur Foundation was happy with the work that we had done and invited us to apply for additional funding as part of this National Safety and Justice Challenge. So we applied for funding in beginning of June, and then just found out within the last month that we did receive it.
Wow.
And it's a 2-year grant. We get $700,000 for those 2 years total. And and we're going to be addressing 5 different strategies to help reduce our jail numbers, but also while promoting public safety.
Right. And there's specific ways that can be done. I read that in the press release, it's bulleted right here.
Bullets are always nice. I mean, in that way,
Yeah,
on a
right.
press release.
Those kind of.
Yes.
And this term, jail diversion, had come up in the past. I remember interviewing T.J. McDermott, Missoula County Sheriff. Kimberly Dudek was still, I think, representing, in the state legislature. And they were both very interested in this concept of jail diversion. But you want to explain to people, what does that mean? Some people, it sounds like they're playing games in jail for jail diversion.
Yeah, I think the main concept of what we're getting at is 5% of the world's population is in America, but 25% of the world's detained or incarcerated population is in America. And so really the concept is not to just get everyone out of jail free, right? It's that we are inappropriately mass incarcerating people, and we're incarcerating people for things that could be dealt with in more appropriate ways, such as people with mental health issues who could be diverted into mental health therapies and different things like that. And of course, people struggling with poverty, a lot of poverty-related issues are ending up in the criminal justice system instead of being addressed in other ways in our society. And so diversion has a lot of different definitions in different sectors, but really when we talk about jail diversion, we're talking about low-level criminals that we want to divert from incarceration by doing something more appropriate with them.
Because, on top of everything else, it's not a particularly cost-effective or efficient
it's not.
way of handling these
It's not. And
problems.
one thing that County Attorney Kirsten Papps also talks about is the Goldilocks principle, where they've actually found, when you're trying to get people rehabilitated, not going back to jail, productive members of society, there's this fine line between not enough supervision and too much supervision. And so you have to find that perfect middle ground, the just right amount of supervision and services necessary to keep those people out of jail. And so what we're doing is we're looking at that. This is a very data-driven approach. MacArthur Foundation has a huge focus and emphasis on finding data-driven solutions. And so we're going to be hiring a data analyst to look at our jail population, how are people getting through the courts, so that we can see where are people getting held up, but then also to find strategies to affect true change in those spots.
Interesting. So the element of science is not necessarily like, oh, it feels bad to lock people up and it's a waste of money. It costs $100,000 to incarcerate this individual. We could set them up in a house and a college education for half that amount of money.
Right.
So that may be a feeling, but you're saying in MacArthur Foundation is saying, let's have some scientific evidence so that we'll track outcomes and say, recommend this works, this doesn't work, and things like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a financial incentive to doing things differently,
Right.
in handling problems differently, but also the evidence-based risk assessments that are available in today's world, and the one that we're using is the public safety assessment, based on the data that has shown low-risk offenders as based on these assessments. If they're low risk, they actually have worse outcomes if you do over-supervise or incarcerate them. They're more likely to fail and to reoffend if you do too much with them, and that has been very well studied. And so really you need to focus on those high-risk offenders and treating them with the appropriate levels of supervision. And so again, finding the right levels of accountability for the right crimes and the right people and the risk to society. And again, this is all based on risk, and the risk to reoffend is something that you can assess with data and statistics and do on people. And so it does not decrease public safety if you're doing it with these risk assessments. It should increase public safety while also saving the public dollars.
Yeah, and that is part of the bullet, increasing the use of the public safety assessment tool. So you bring some psychological science to bear and say, well, this person was arrested because they were loitering in a place they shouldn't have been, or they set up camp in this alleyway, and then they started yelling at the store owners, they're breaking the public peace. Is it really going to help to incarcerate them? What is their background? What kind of risk do they pose
Or like
to
a
the
first-time DUI,
Right.
what is the best, you get pulled over for a DUI, do you get into, chemical dependency assistance, things like that, or do you go to jail, which is going to provide you with a bigger benefit? And so those are, and we don't know that, but we're trying to figure that out.
So what are the next steps going forward? You've talked about hiring a data analyst.
And a program manager. And then we're going to go through and do a case processing evaluation where we're going to have some technical assistance to go through our cases in Missoula and see from start to finish, from soup to nuts, where are the delays, what's happening, and how can we address that. And then we are going to be hiring some other positions. We have a cultural liaison that we'll be working with from the Missoula Urban Indian Health Center. We're going to be, the county attorney's office is going to be hiring somebody to do some prosecutor-led diversion. We're going to be hiring an LAC, a licensed addiction counselor for the jail, case manager for the jail, and I'm sure there's other positions that I'm probably forgetting.
So it's kind of a cross-agency and organizational approach, very
It's-
holistic, it sounds like.
and very
Absolutely,
collaborative.
Yep, and in order to really kind of have some collaborative, cross-jurisdictional governance over this, we have created a criminal justice coordinating council that does have elected and appointed officials from the city, county, and state criminal justice systems, so that we're all at the table, and we'll bring on stakeholders, people who have previously been incarcerated, experts from the community, people in corrections, to really give us a holistic structure to look at all this data in. And it is really going to be systems level data instead of looking at the attorneys and the sheriff and PD, and everybody plays a different part. But when you really kind of zoom out and look at the whole system, how is the whole system working together, and can we do things, keeping in mind if you do something over here, something else might happen over here.
Right, because you hear so often about people falling through the cracks,
Right.
or
Yes.
but one agency not talking to another agency, and this seems really exciting. And is this unique in the state? The grant that you
The grant, we're the only people in Montana that got the grant. We're one of only 13 jurisdictions nationwide that got it, which is great. There are other people starting to work on this. Lewis and Clark County does have a criminal justice coordinating council. It's definitely talked about. COLA's on a statewide, the MACO Public Safety.
Public Safety Committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few counties that have, Gallatin County has had a CJCC for a while. I think what sets us apart is we put in the budget to hire dedicated staff that's going to be ongoing through the county budget. A lot of CJCCs, it's kind of other duties as assigned for someone who has a lot of other work to do, and so it's really slow to really focus on these issues and move them forward. So I think that we will be able to accomplish a lot with a dedicated staff and $700,000.
And we're very fortunate to have really great buy-in from our elected officials, from the supporting agencies. I mean, when I talk to other jurisdictions, they're like, oh, we've faced a lot of, problems with our prosecutors or our public defenders or our judges, and I'm like, we don't have that. I mean, we have really been very fortunate to have people who are engaged and committed to seeing this a success.
Yeah, sometimes people, when they do their job, they have a very set pattern. A certain passion brought them to that work, and that may come with it a very rigid perspective. So if you said, let's try this a different way.
There are political aspects to this as well. I mean, it's not always easy to talk about a different way when you're in public office.
No, I think it's very compassionate and contains so much foresight because everyone knows Missoula's county, city is growing, and we're suffering these growing pains in all these ways. People say, people never used to come up here, and now it's getting all trashed, or we used to leave the doors open, or I leave my keys in the car, back in the day.
Well, we really hope that you will come back and give us an update in 6 months or so and let us know how it's going. Scott is giving us the sign.
Okay, he's giving us the time to go, but I appreciate you. Thanks for waiting to be on the show.
Yeah,
and then
it was worth it.
You'll be first next time, we promise.
Well, we'll do a half hour on this next time.
Oh, yeah, that's
Don't
a good
you think?
idea.
There's so much to talk about.
Yeah,
There
let's do
is.
that. That would be
Tremendous.
good.
All right, well,
Great.
thanks
Thank you.
again.
Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you too for watching this edition of Missoula Live. Once again, if you know of a group and you'd like to see them on this program, give us a call at MCAT. The number's 542-6228. For MCAT, I'm Joel Baird.
And I'm Kim Anderson.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.